Trigun Stampede has arrived, but does it live up to the original? We got new characters, a new tone, new weapons, and a new, not so iconic haircut. But most importantly, we got a new look. Trigun Stampede CGI has been discussed at length on the internet. So much so that the actual discussion about the quality of the show seemed to be forgotten. And that is tragic because, apart from its unique look, Trigun Stampede does a lot of things right. It doesn't repeat the same mistakes other anime remakes and reboots are falling for by simply not trying to be a remake. Let's address this right away. Trigun Stampede is in a sense similar to the original, but it appears very different. Apart from its look, which I will discuss in a second, it also changed the show character and story-wise. For once, Meryl is not an employee at an insurance company, but a journalism rookie. As of right now at least, her partner is not the sympathetic yet naive Millie Thompson, but a father figure called Roberto, a veteran of the Bernardelli news agency. Wolfwood is also introduced earlier in the story, so are Vash's brother Knife's Million and Ram. Whereas in the original, Vash's mysterious backstory is uncovered episode after episode, Stampede opens with a flashback and introduces us to the central conflict right away. And to be honest, I can totally understand why. You get Vinland Saga, Tokyo Revengers, Tomo-chan, Bungo, Buddy Daddies. If you are not hooked after episode 1, you just pass it and move on to something else. Of course, I like the idea of slowly uncovering Vash's past in the original, but here I'm just curious where they will go with it from the beginning on. Eager as to how the story will progress. Since the characters are somehow different, Trigun Stampede offers an exciting dynamic that sheds new light on our beloved heroes. Meryl feels a little bit more inexperienced, not being the kick-ass insurance worker with a big heart from the original. And Wolfwood, although being just as mysterious and tall like in the Trigun from 1998, is about to get a lot more character development. With the appearance of Livio the Double Fang, a character that you could only meet in the manga Trigun Maximum, a childhood friend of Wolfwood is introduced that will surely result in some interesting backstories. The only stagnant component in the new Trigun version seems to be its protagonist. Yes, the new Vash misses the Super Saiyan hair and is 45 long cold, but his personality remains the same. He still believes in the idea of pacifism, trying not to be a killer in this ruthless and corrupt world. And of course, similar to the original, Ram is still his driving motivator. However, he has also become more agile, not only using his guns but hand-to-hand combat. Not only character-wise but also story-wise, Trigun Stampede goes on to a different route. Like I said, some story beats you'd find in later episodes of the show are now presented early on in the beginning. Ultimately, the tone of Trigun Stampede is a darker, grittier one than in the original. You still have Vash's quirky appearances and trouble seems to follow him everywhere, but the slapstick of the original has been brought to a minimum and was replaced by serious undertones and, surprisingly, heavy violence. Trigun Stampede feels like the Itachi of reboots, a more serious brother that rarely smiles and is brutal in his behavior. And actually, I am very pleasantly surprised by this new direction. Looking at all of these massive changes, Trigun Stampede doesn't feel like a reboot or remake, but rather like a retelling. And honestly, that's a good thing. Stampede managed to alter aspects and storylines of the original, adding new lore from its source material while creating a unique and new aesthetic style that differs enough from the original to be its own thing. I think that the move to CG was actually very clever, since it allowed the team of Yasuhiro Naito and Katsuhiro Takei to give the story a new spin while remaining the essence of Trigun. In an interview, they have stated that the original Trigun, anime and manga, are masterpieces on their own and that they didn't want to touch that legacy, but rather creating something new and exciting. And they did exactly that, breathing fresh air into the show while not trying to be a copycat. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind when series are being very close to the source material, since paying tribute to the original is never a bad thing. On the flip side, Stampede is not only able to draw from a 26 episode show, but a manga that still leaves a lot of aspects yet to uncover. I'm really excited as to how the show will progress with its tone, since there is an event that has shaped the original show but has not occurred in the retelling. 1998 Trigun opens with the destroyed city of July, one of the biggest places of the planet Gunsmoke. This tragic incident was not only the fall of Vash, which explains its abnormal bounty, but also sets a tone for the show. In Trigun Stampede, however, the city is still intact, which is why I believe that this fatal catastrophe will likely to be occurring by the end of the first season. Vash's lightheartedness always stood in contrast to the heartless world and people that inhabit it. This was one of the strongest aspects of the show, and I do miss it in the retelling from time to time. However, that is not to say that Trigun Stampede is not able to capture the essence of the original. Although it looks different, this still feels like Trigun. Especially in a thematic sense, the show manages to keep it very close to the original. The constant battle between two opposing beliefs, pacifism, the question of humanity in an inhumane world. All of this you can find in this new version. I think it's time to address the three-dimensional elephant in the room. Yes, I believe that Trigun Stampede CGI actually looks good. Studio Orange seems to have professed their work on CG animation, and with this one, they hit a new milestone. Beastars already looked really convincing, and the action sequences in Land of Lustrous were breathtaking, only showing the massive talent of the people involved. In an interview, the staff of the show explained that reviving Trigun in CG felt like the optimum idea of introducing it towards a new audience. And by the way, reading all of these interviews in preparation for this video only showed me the love and respect that the people of Trigun Stampede have for its original. Some people involved, such as Kiyotaka Waki, mentioned that the director of the original anime was his mentor and the honor he felt working on the new Trigun. Yes, if you will ask me, I will always choose 2D over 3D animation, especially when it comes to the more dusty and imperfect animated shows of the 90s. But being open for new things, I believe that Stampede is a show that looks visually appealing if you give it a chance. And also, it is one where you can feel that a lot of heart was poured into. The only problem is that nobody really talks about this show. Trigun Stampede didn't create a lot of hype or anticipation, although there are many people who actually seem to enjoy the show. So its future is definitely uncertain in a way, which is sad, because adapting more of the manga, the show could give us insights in characters we have fallen in love with in the original and could expand it using the manga it is based on. For me, I definitely consider myself an admirer of this show. The 1998 series will always have a special place in my heart, maybe because of its look, or the fact that Vash and his past that haunts him strongly reminds me of my favorite anime character ever. It's hard to say. I just have a weakness for 90s animation, 90s anime in general, which is why I would always pick the original Trigun over its 2023 version, despite its obvious qualities. But that's just my personal take. Nevertheless, you should give Trigun Stampede a chance. So far, it's a fascinating retelling that expands the world of the humanoid typhoon in a lot of interesting ways. Ways that makes me want to pick up the manga for the first time, or rewatch the classic from 1998. The original Trigun wasn't exactly a hit, not being able to stand out from the masses. But with its unique look, maybe we are in the midst of seeing a CGI classic in the making. Who knows? Have you seen Trigun Stampede? And if you did so, what did you like more? The original or the remake? It is my deepest wish to share my passion for anime and manga with this world, so if you like this video and subscribe to the channel, you can help me get closer to that goal. Thank you. My name is Leon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next time. Bye bye.